Hadithi!
I'll say a bit about the time where I got expelled from higher education in the whole country. So I couldn't go to any university. So one university expelled me and said, it's not just here, you can't even go to another one. So as you can imagine, that was quite a surreal moment. So I thought, well, I need to do something. Till I did something because I'm here today. Because the alternative is that I would have died. Of course I would have died. So the lecturer stood up and said, before we start today's class, can I have the following people go to the dean after this session? Now, in university, you're not a person, you don't have a name, you have a number. And so the first number that was called out was 802044339. So that was my student number. Now, if you're from my era, you realize that that's a UJ student number, but it means you joined UJ before it was UJ, it was still Vestec. And then somewhere along the line, it became UJ. So that was not a problem. It was not uncommon for a teacher to say, go to the dean for whatever reason. It was the last 6 months of my study, so sometimes they call you because there's potential opportunities for internships and practical experience. So the first moment when that was called out, I was like, yes, yeah, get to talk to the dean, it's always cool. And then it says the next person is 802044569. And then I said, wait, oh, that's Dumisani's student number. Okay, no problem. And so we went through 5 student numbers, and all of them was for his friends. We were a clique, and we knew what we had done. So immediately, we were nervous. We decided we were not going to wait for the class to end. We said, sorry, can we just go now? So we went outside for a junior caucus and said, this is strange. Do you think, no, it can't be. No, maybe it's the job applications we've been doing. Because after all, it is the last 6 months of our study. And so we went to the dean's office, and along the way, we said, look, if it is that thing, we deny flat out. There is no proof that we had anything to do with it, and we stay consistent. We do not break. We do not flinter. We simply say we do not know. We've seen enough movies where people deny what they've done. So we thought, no, this is doable. Then we got to the dean's office and we were asked to wait outside. And the dean came out and looked at us. It was 5 of us who were called up, but it was only 4 of us. He stared at us and realized that there's 3 guys and 1 female. And he said, I left the lady first. The nerves, the palpitations, but you still stay true to what you agreed to do or not to do. He said, don't worry, she's a soldier. She's a soldier. She came out a few minutes later and she was crying. We kind of felt we were breached. And our heads dropped. She walked off. And the dean says, okay, you next. I walked in. And then he says, okay, so what's happening here? I said, I know nothing about it. He says, look, she's already told me everything. So now I'm thinking, phew. He says, this is fraud. You're going to get arrested. So let me tell you what had happened. So what had happened is that one day, there was a friend of mine called Sichab, a very short, stumpy, persistent guy who came to me and says, hey bro, I think there's a way we can doctor our academic records to reflect better marks. After all, we're about to look for jobs. I mean, these 48s are not going to cut it. You know how an academic record does. It's got pass, fail, pass. I mean, it looks dirty. So I said to him, but I don't have that problem, so why would I want to do this? He says, yeah, well, a bunch of us, I failed that, so we want to fix all of that. And I flat out refused to get involved in this, and so off they went. I didn't even want to know how this was going to happen. But when they came back from that intervention, they had distinctions. And all of a sudden, after the whole group, I was the one with the lowest marks. So then I thought, oh, snap. And I'm feeling the pressure, peers. And I was always bothered by 59%. And I had like 4 of them. Because I said, I can accept a 50. I'm in a 60. What is this 59? So I started saying, well, how do we do this? So the long and short of it, there was a guy inside the admin building that you paid $500 and it does this thing. And then you go tomorrow and you check the academic record and it's like it wasn't you. But it says you, so you're happy. So we had been caught out because the dean had been following up that there's something happening there, but they didn't know who. And even though they eventually knew, they couldn't pin him. They needed witnesses, needed people to testify. And so they raked in some people, and we happened to be caught up in that. And they flat out threatened us, and we were so scared. And we were called into disciplinary hearing, and they simply said, look, this is the worst kind. The only thing we can do, short of opening criminal charges, is to expel you for 5 years from higher education. Sure. And we sat there, not even a chance to mitigate ourselves. The only thing that was left is each person and their thoughts. And I was thinking, literally, my mother had one chance to get you through some kind of undergrad. If you messed it up, there's no other chance. But also she went through so much getting the money here, and I'm thinking, I can't go home and tell them this news would kill her. It would absolutely shatter her. The regret, the sadness, walking through campus, when you see someone smile, you hate them. Because why are they happy when you're so sad? The campus was small. The only thing we could do was find the most isolated areas that we didn't know existed, because that's how we said. And you couldn't even sit with the people that you perpetrate the crime with. Then we decided we're going to appeal this sentence, because you have a right to appeal. But then the appeals hearing was postponed to about 2 months, and the schools closed, and our parents were calling, when are you coming back? And you were like thinking, I don't know, but in your mind you're thinking, I have to go to the appeal first. But what if it doesn't get granted? What happens then? So I remember sitting by myself at the back of campus, making sure no one spots me, going through about 5 different versions of a mitigation speech. What am I going to say to that appeals committee? How do I get them to forgive us? But even more so in my head was how do I tell my parents? I've got 2 sets of parents, so it's all good and well and everyone is happy. When things are bad, it's just savage because everyone wants to have their say. So I eventually resorted that the only way is to write a letter. So write a letter to my mother, particularly. But I also have to write a letter to my stepfather and put that letter to my mother inside that letter to my stepfather. So that he reads the first letter. When he finishes, it says that please give the other letter to mother. And then they can have a caucus there and they manage each other. And I was just waiting for that call. That says, you know what? We understand. We're caught up in a bad moment. Come back home. And that call came 2 days before the hearing, the appeals hearing. And so I already knew I was going home, but I thought, let me go into the appeals hearing. Maybe they'll find remorse in our actions. And I remember the moment we were given our chance to mitigate for ourselves. And I was the last one to speak. Everyone else has gone through the same frustration. No, I'm sorry, I'm the first one to graduate, to go to university at school, enough stars. They're like a whole rap game that didn't really make any sense. And when they came to me and they said, what do you have to say? And I smiled and I looked at the panel one by one, the representatives of the SRC, my fellow criminals. And I said, I'm glad that this happened here. This is a learning institution. And a learning institution assumes the position of a parent when our parents are left out there. You have an opportunity here as an institution to correct a slightly rotten apple, or to allow the whole apple to rot and start to rot other apples. We have stepped out of line. If you push us too hard, we simply land on the other side of the line. And our lives will be destroyed. We cannot recover from this. So nudge us into place. Cut off the rotten part. And understand that we've simply learned our lesson. If we hadn't learned this lesson yet, we're going to do this out there. And out there, it is more savage. I'm here today. And I can say, it is important to learn some of the lessons early. But always remember, wherever you are, whether you're a parent, whether you are a teacher, whether an institution, you're always fundamentally there to correct. And when people veer out of line, it's part of the life challenge to learn